Hello, I am Usaitin Iyari, and you can follow me at Iyari for President on all social media platforms, including Twitter. That's how I welcome you to Democracy Today on Africa Independent Television tonight. It is just over 24 hours since the federal government of Nigeria suspended the operations of microblogging and social networking sites service called Twitter. The social application, which enjoys 300 million active users monthly, provides a platform for public conversation as its users share posts and interact with messages known as tweets. The platform has gained popularity across the globe as a voice for the people to share real-time thoughts and feedback on all topical subjects. It has been a rallying ground for all things from education, entertainment to politics and everything in between. It has also become a veritable platform for citizens to organize around causes that matter to them, and very recently in Nigeria, precisely October of 2020, young Nigerians organized from Twitter and marched across the nation in protest of police brutality. This time, the social network drew the wrath of the federal government of Nigeria, with it in line with its policy, took down a tweet shared via the official and verified handle of the president. Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed responded to Twitter's decision, saying its mission was suspicious and accused the site of double standards. While Nigerian Twitter users have long suspected a clampdown was in the works, given the government's stance in its first term, nothing prepared them for the press statement declaring Twitter suspended indefinitely. Following the announcement, outrage in some quarters and support in others took over the platform as many users didn't understand what happens next. Reacting to the development have also been the international community, with the United Kingdom, Canada and Sweden expressing worry over the developments. Nigeria joins the list of nations that have now blocked the use of Twitter. They include China, Iran and North Korea, amongst others, in this infamous club. The actions of the administration has drawn criticism from those who say this is a brutal attack on the freedom of speech and an indication of a heavy-handed government with a few more tricks up its sleeves. On the program tonight, we ask if the ban on Twitter means a further shrinking of the civic space and a clampdown on civil liberties. Joining me for this conversation tonight is a panel of experts, including we have Tope Akinyode, who's a lawyer, as well as Malakai Odo, also a lawyer and tech expert. We also have joining us Anthony Ehilebo, who's a social media expert, and joining the program as well, Adamu Garbash, social media expert, as well as Lucky Goyota, is a civil society activist. Thank you to all gentlemen who will be joining this conversation tonight. Let's begin if we already have Akinyode join us on the line from Lagos. Hello, Akinyode, welcome to the program. Oh, all right, I understand that Kiyode has yet to join the conversation. All right, let's begin with Malakai, who's a tech expert. Thank you for joining the program, sir. You recall that in the past you have said expectedly that Twitter should expect, or rather Twitter would hold the Nigerian government, to higher standards. So let's begin by talking about this policy that was violated by the president's tweet and other avenues that would have resolved the impasse instead of this outright ban.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. The ban by the federal government of Nigeria yesterday came as a shock to many, expectedly, and I think Mr. President or President Buhari is not the first, will not be the first head of state or president to be banned or to have his tweets removed by Twitter. Of course, we saw what happened with President Donald Trump after the elections, the US elections and all that, and he was indefinitely suspended, not only from Twitter, but from almost all major social media platforms. And what did he do about it? He took it, and you didn't hear him saying the United States government will ban Twitter. It's a personal thing. So the Twitter handle of Mr. President Buhari it was not even banned. It was not removed or anything, but they simply removed the tweet saying it's violated.
Hello, Tokwe. Good to have you join us tonight. Let's begin from this point of view. You know, lawyers such as yourself, SERAP, and of course, as well as the NBA, that's the Nigerian Bar Association, has already threatened litigation, you know. So let's ask you this question to begin this conversation. You know that you already cited portions of the Constitution as reasons why the government should not have done this. But the question to you, is it not within the rights of the federal government of Nigeria to restrict the services of Twitter?
To analyze the issues, we have to consider various approaches and perspectives. Number one, we have to consider whether Twitter is under the jurisdiction of the Nigerian government, whether the Nigerian government has, some kind of authority over Twitter as a company. That's one hand. On the other hand, we must consider the interface of Twitter usage with the provisions that are captured under Chapter 4 of the Nigerian Constitution, which invariably means that whether there's any sort of interface between Twitter usage and all the rights guaranteed under the law, especially concerning the right about freedom of expression. And press freedom. Press freedom is not actually part in that collaboration of that. Now, go to start to it depressing and sad. You see that the Nigerian government that hasn't been on top of the game to ensure that is able to find it convenient to easily trample fundamental right.
Okay. Tokwe, are you done making?
Question
are you done making your point?
I'm saying my position basically is Twitter usage by Nigerians is an expression of the fundamental human right that guarantees Nigerians.
Okay.
So it has nothing to do with the interface between the government and Twitter as a company. It's majorly or essentially has to do with how that action of banning Twitter usage in Nigeria has infringed on the fundamental rights of citizens to freely express themselves. And I'm saying the government has in direct fundamental rights of citizens to freedom of expression.
All right, Tokwe, thank you. But we'd have to ask you to check on your network service because we are having difficulty hearing you very clearly. But I hope that you can fix that before we come back to you again. Well, let's go now to Mr. Egoyota.
All right,
Mr. Egoyota, thank you for joining us. The conversation continues with you now. You are in the civil society, and of course, yourself and your comrades have lambasted this action very clearly, saying that this is heavy-handedness by government, that a government that swore to protect the rights of citizens. So the question to you is, does this action, represent a further shrinkage of the civic space?
Thank you, Iyare, for having me. Good evening, Nigerians. Your question is self-answered already. The action of the government yesterday has further deepened the shrinking of our civic, and not only the civic, our democratic space. Our fundamental rights are being hampered and tempered on unilaterally by the government of the day. The tyranny of the government has been taken this far, and it reminds me around 2017 when the president was, undergoing his ill health challenge in London, when his spokesperson, that was Femi Adesina now, released an article then. The article was very catchy. He said in that article that people fail to learn and they forget nothing. That is, they learn nothing and they forget nothing. Now I'm putting back that same caption back to the Nigerian government, which Femi is still a member of today. I think the government of President Muhammadu Buhari has actually learned nothing and he has forgotten nothing. They have come thus far in the last 6 years, staging a war against the Nigerian people in every respect. The Twitter is just the latest. The Twitter ban is just the latest in the whole plethora of gagging and hounding and trying to reduce the Nigerian people to mere captives. What is wrong with Twitter? Twitter is just a platform, like Malaki said while he was talking, just a platform for communication. People are enabled there to have intellectual discourse. Some are even there for business purposes. Young people goes there to ventilate their emotional feelings. Some Nigerians even go there to relax. When they go there, look at tweets, they get relaxed and calm their nerves with all the goings and happenings happening in the country that has been very bedeviling. People use social media sometimes as a relaxation platform. The government of the day doesn't even know what they are doing. The owner and founder of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, is worth over $12 billion US. The president of Nigeria today, the last time I checked, when he did his asset declaration in 2015, is worth something around, if you put it in dollars, say $80 million US. Like we say in our local parlance here in Delta, can a poor man fight a rich man?
Mr.
Poor man will fight rich man.
Mr. Lucky,
let me localize it.
Why we seek to get the
point I'm trying to raise.
Okay,
yeah,
make the point very
Gary.
quickly. Make your point very quickly so that we move on.
Okay, the point I'm trying to drive here is the government is chasing shadow, not only chasing shadow, is killing a platform that is helpful to Nigerians that the government has failed to help.
All right.
Are you with me? The government has failed to help Nigerians. Most Nigerians have resorted to self-help. Twitter has given most Nigerians an opportunity to rediscover themselves and connect with the world. Now you have outsourced the proceeds of the local telcos here to the virtual private networks. People are now downloading VPNs in the last 24 hours. Who are you selling those opportunities to? You are selling it to outsiders. And Nigeria is not working with the telcos in around
Nigeria.
the country. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Mr. Igoyuta. We will come back. We will come back to you. We'll come back to you, Mr. Igoyuta. Let's welcome Garba, Adamu Garba, who's in the studio with us. Thank you for joining us tonight. And let's ask you, because I already know your position, and your position is clearly that you are fully in support of this ban. You know, but the question to you is, and I really hope that you would agree with me on this, is that this social media platform we speak of now made you, in the sense that it popularized you, it amplified your voice, and especially centered you in the conversations around leadership in Nigeria, especially when you were gunning for the presidency and the top seats. So the question to you will be, if this same platform gave you so much, why do you think now it is a problem?
The answer to you is this. Thank you very much for inviting me anyway. Is that there must be a state before somebody to govern it, first and foremost. When you have a tool, no matter how necessary they used to be, and they suddenly become insurrectionary tool against the corporate existence of the state, then they should face the consequences. I don't see any value in anybody that is trying to destroy my country. And whatever constitutional discussions some people are going to make or they are asserting, I don't understand if they know that Twitter is not a Nigerian company. And Nigeria is not a global policeman. Our constitution does not govern the world. Our constitution governs Nigeria. What the ban is simply saying, I don't want to even call it ban. I want to call it suspension. What the suspension is saying is that you, although we know that you have been insurrectionists against Nigerians and Nigerians' interests, if you truly want to operate in Nigeria, you have to come and regularize in Nigeria. You have to pass through the window of regulation. Come to Nigeria, license yourself, submit to our regulatory requirements, make sure that you pay tax, make sure that you have an office in Nigeria, employing Nigerians. When you become principal stakeholders in the Nigeria's growth, we don't think you will come against Nigeria by sponsoring criminal elements and terrorists to be able to advocate their vile systems in the interest of trying to destabilize the country. So to the best of my knowledge, Twitter, be that it was good before, we have seen over the last 2 years that is somewhat like, I used to call it an IPOB terrorist online machine. Because to the best of my knowledge, what they advocate for is the complete disorder and the destruction of Nigeria. And this is not without precedence. If you check what is happening today, and then try to correlate it to what happened during the Cold War, it's all about information propaganda. What these guys are trying to do is to paint everything Nigeria and everything institutional Nigeria in a dark mode so that Nigerians will now raise against their own state. And if you go by some of the comments that is coming, sometimes you even be shocked as to how people don't really understand the differences between the state and the individual. There must be a state for individual to be able to exercise their fundamental human rights. Whenever you have issues that has to deal with national security, sensitive issues that is capable of destabilizing Nigeria, then the right to individual must be surrendered to the right of the state. And that is why you have security agencies trying to bring back order and stability. Why are they there? Because they have to tell you to temporarily suspend some of your orders so that the country can now be restored to the normal functionality where you can be able to exercise your franchise. Somebody is trying to compare it in the form of Naira and Kobo.
But the points you raised have not been the same which the federal government has put out in the public space. Yes. They have not mentioned some of this. And then also, to take another point you raised is to say, to declare Twitter as IPOB, whatever you refer to it as. Correct. But then the question to you would be, Twitter itself as a corporate body does not generate tweets. It will be individuals who do this, right? Who generate those tweets that you mentioned and those tweets that you speak of. And you can't also say that whatever one person tweets reflects the general opinion of everybody on the platform. Yes. And then the question finally will be, has there been a verifiable incident to say this and this attack happened because of the Twitter app that necessitated its suspension, as you choose to call it?
Let me answer you here. You rightly mentioned that Twitter is a platform that allows people to voice out their views, their opinions, right?
True.
And suddenly, a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, commander-in-chief, democratically elected by 29 million people, to come and govern the country, for which that vote signifies our surrendering of some level of trust relationship for the protection of life and security of Nigerians, decided to communicate to Nigerians on the platform. Those guys felt like the president is not saying the right thing, that the president should say what they felt like he should say in accordance to some alleged governance module or process that they have. Meanwhile, you have several terrorists on the same platform advocating for the complete destruction of Nigeria. Most of the images that they even popularized on those platforms were fake news, images that predated back to genocide in Rwanda and so many other places in the world. They will pack it and then bring it onto the Twitter platform and then still be able to propagate it. Twitter does not see that as a fundamental violation of their own rules. So they, in fact, in most cases, even allow it to be much more amplified. Most of the times when you come to Twitter trend, you will see those things against Nigeria are what is constantly trending. Meanwhile, the president is saying that for the people that are suffering in those areas, for the prisons that have been destroyed, for the INEC offices that have been burned down, for the policemen that have been killed and the police station that has been destroyed, for our soldiers that have been mutilated, for the people that have been imprisoned in the southeast, I am now taking responsibility to go and save you and restore order based on the right you vested on me during your election. And suddenly Twitter said that you are wrong, sir. Isn't that an insult to the presidency and to the Nigerian sovereignty? How can an American company come to Nigeria and try to decide for what Nigerian presidents will talk about?
Let's track back. You also, one thing you did here as well when you were speaking was you admitted that there were community guidelines, right? You admitted community guidelines which you surrendered to as well when you signed up to use that app.
That's correct.
Good. And now, when you also say the president of Nigeria, the US president, former US president, won his own election in 2016 by 60-something million votes, Donald Trump. And he was kicked out of this same platform for not, and not just this platform, other platforms, for not keeping in line with the rules. Don't you think that that's
no.
Especially when they didn't even kick out the president?
No, let me tell you one thing.
Before we go
Twitter is an American company,
okay,
right? So for them to take action against American president, they are now obeying American rules based on the American governance system. It will work. But supposing, we have a platform company called Crow. Supposing Trump is sitting on Crow, and Crow is a Nigerian company, and President Trump decided to publish whatever he chose to publish, a Nigerian company decided to remove Trump from the platform because he published something against United States citizens, I'm telling you, the Homeland Security will be the first people to kick us out of that country completely. Don't forget, we have a TikTok. TikTok is a Chinese company that tries to come into the United States. You should understand the level of hurdles they faced, the level of pushback they face simply because they are not American company, and therefore Donald Trump even decide to suspend them. You know about that.
Yes,
until
but
eventually,
not necessarily, but because they have been accused of spying and they have been
no,
fingered in.
so that's the
using
problem. So we are also accusing Twitter of insurrection against our sovereign state. So therefore, we have to deal with them.
Is it Twitter now or the individuals?
I
Let's
think
be clear. Who are we accusing?
Both the individuals that are terrorists, that are hell-bent on destroying Nigeria, that are aided and abetted by Twitter platform.
Okay, all right, let's go back to Mr. Malachi, who joins us. Thank you, sir, for being part of the program. Let's also ask you, this administration that is in office today is one that rode to power, give and take on the back of social media. And this same platform stood side by side with the president. The individuals who probably have dissented with him today and dissented are some individuals who promoted him on this platform. So what does this whole suspension mean, really?
Yeah, just like you said, Twitter and social media has always been there. The current administration, led by President Muhammadu Buhari, has been a great beneficiary of the social media. You can go back to 2013, 2014, early 2015. Go and check the Twitter handle of Muhammadu Buhari. Go and check the Twitter handle of Vice President Professor Sibajo. Go and check the Twitter handle of all these other guys in government today. You will see that they also criticized and voiced out and did everything they had to do to the government in power then. And that place gave them the platform and the voice to be heard. And as it will be, Nigerians keyed into their message and voted for them, and they won. So for them to turn around today and then say, oh, the insurrection is a joke. I want you to understand that this is beyond Twitter. This present administration has been whining and crying about press freedom. We don't want, you are criticizing the government, tone down on how you talk about the government. And why should you do that? Why should the citizens tone down on how their country is being led? Why should they do that? Why should the citizens not express frustration that the things you promise them, you are not doing them? And you expect them to keep quiet and sit back because you are in government today. Tomorrow you will leave office. And when you leave office, we know that you will scream and shout and criticize whichever government is there if they feel they're not doing or towing the line you expect of a government. Now, this administration, as we know it, have been clamping down on press freedom. The Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation has not hidden that fact. Whether it is AIT, whether it is Channels Television, whether it is Arise Television, they have felt the hammer of NBC. Now, during the NSAS protests and everything, we saw how the federal government too came out and threatening, oh, we'll ban Twitter, these people will ban them. But what they are forgetting is that Twitter is simply a platform. These are your people talking. Are you going to ban your people? If you are not comfortable with how your people are speaking, who do you want to hear? So you want everybody to keep mute? So this is the things they don't understand. You can ban Twitter all you want. You can ban everybody, but you can't stop your people from speaking out. And if you deny them that platform where they can air their views, they will find another way to air their views. That's all I'm just going to say.
All right, let's also just quickly take this short break and give ourselves a little bit time to take water, and then we'll come back after this break for more. Do stay with us. All our guests are still part of the program.
Did you know that AIT's social media handles have all changed? If you are one of the millions of our followers on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, this is introducing to you AIT's new official and rebranded social media handles. Like or follow us now on our Facebook page, Official AIT Live. If you're on Twitter, switch to our new handle at Official AIT Live and activate the notification button to get breaking news and updates on the go. For exclusive short videos and photo news, follow our Instagram account at Official AIT Live. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Official AIT Live, and enjoy live streaming of news and your favorite programs, where you can also watch our broadcast materials at your own convenience. Note that Official AIT Live is the only authentic social media profile name with all the handles on our website ait.live, with a notification prompt to accept and receive breaking news and updates on the go. Log on to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube platforms on your smartphone, tablet device, laptop, and desktop to follow us now. AIT.live. On air, online, online.
All right, let's this time welcome back. Thank you for joining the program. It's still Democracy Today, and we're here. All our guests are with us. But let's this time welcome Anthony Ilebo, who's a social media expert, to this conversation. Welcome, sir.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
All right.
It's nice to be here. And I've been following and listening to what my dear friend Adamu Garuba has been saying.
All right.
And he's having a very difficult job defending such an anomaly.
Hold on. Let's ask you the question first before you begin to fire. Anyway.
No, I've been listening.
I understand. I understand. So the question to you, therefore, will be: this platform we speak of is a platform, as some of our guests have said and you have heard, is a platform that you can refer to as the people's power. This is a place where they have always had the opportunity to express themselves unfiltered, if it's said that way. And now they see this as being clamped down. And it's a place where, just young Nigerians in such an economy as ours, where we know all the challenges, have found expression for their businesses, for their education, and even recently where we found and traced an alleged killer of a young lady. So this platform has produced a lot of positives as well. So how did you receive the news of this suspension?
Well, it's interesting that the suspension came as a result of mostly, and they say it's for national interest. But we all know that the Minister of Information, who incidentally is the wrong minister to have issued that, to have been made any statement in that regard, it should have come from the Minister of Communication. But as we all know, they're suffering from a perception crisis at the moment. So unable to make such pronouncements. So it had to come from the Minister of Information. The Minister of Information is not in charge of the NCC. First and foremost, is not in charge of the NCC, but he chose to make that statement directing the NCC, which is not his ministry. But you would know that this government is wanton for making unfulfillable decrees and edicts, that it cannot live through. I don't know how and who advised them that they can suspend a people-driven media. They suspended, they cut Nigerians off since last night, but Nigerians have still been on Twitter, still posting and making mockery of the president. That's what all the headlines read today. And Nigerians are mocking the president that he passed and he could not even control the same social media. And by the way, it wasn't Twitter that drove that decision to suspend those very vile tweets of the president. It was the people of Nigeria that mass reported the president's account for violating the rules of Twitter. Not that Twitter on its own woke up and decided to remove those tweets. It was at the instance and request of the Nigerian people. Not that Twitter just woke up and decided that was the decision they would take.
All right. Okay, we hear you. Let's go back to Mr. Adamu Garuba in the studio with us. Now, when you were speaking earlier, you mentioned an app that you have created and you are pushing, and that's the Crowy app. And first thing, of course, I checked it out, and the first thing that caught my attention was the bird-like, symbol which is used in your logo, and that represents for me. Are you not speaking in some way to or taking inspiration from Twitter in itself?
Never.
Okay, no problem then.
Yes.
Since you have said that, but hold on.
For that bird.
Hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. You have also been accused, the security information also have been accused of being taken from Spotify and other related apps, other apps where you copied some information from. But the question to you really is, for you now, you have said that, look, suspending Twitter is the way to go so that Nigerian-owned apps, can begin to take space. But the question is, Paystack, Flutterwave, other such apps have survived, have grown exponentially in the midst of foreign apps at the same time. So it's not necessarily the fact that the apps might be the problem. What do you think?
No. There are two different governance models driving these apps. Like if you check Spotify, Flutterwave and Paystack, these are all fintech apps.
Yeah,
fintech is just a linear application, pay, take, go. But these are social media that have two-side network effect. The side of the producer and the side of the consumer that has a governance model regulating the way information are passed. So there are two different technology systems at all. Like it's very even clear from what Barrister Tony said. He's a lawyer, he's not a technology, so he cannot differentiate between social media and social network. The social network is a technology that drives the social media. So the suspension that comes from NBC is appropriate because it's a media. It's not a network at that point where it propagates those messages. But supposing there's a network breach and some other configuration issues that may affect the interests of national security, then it will have come from the Ministry of Digital Communications, which is also appropriate. So there are two things that comes together to produce the output, which is media. And that media is now produced by the audience on the platform. The consumer and the producer all produce and consume at the same time. So that's exactly what the difference is. So our own app, like Crowy, the bird that you rightly mentioned, is actually an African bird, purely African bird. Crow, that normal crow bird, is predominantly an African bird and is one of the most brilliant, most interesting birds in the whole world. But
you know that logo ideas?
No.
Let
me tell you, Crowy has been in production since 2016. So there will have never been any precedence with Twitter. It has been in production since 2018, and because of the nature of the bats and the way it flies and the special characteristics it has as the first bat in the world that teach human being how to do things, because that bird is actually the bird that showed Cain how to bury Abel. So it means that we have a pride to also represent. So that logo has been there since 2016. So it has nothing to do with, it's registered, you can check with the trademark and Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment. It's registered there since before even I started thinking about politics. So we need to understand that Twitter, as the way it's constituted now, or platform businesses generally, can be serious political tool. And the 21st century warfare, especially the Cold War that is coming into the 21st century, is information warfare. That's why you see countries like China, like Turkey, like Russia are extremely pushing against information that comes from outside into their country. So Nigeria is unfortunately one of the countries that is suffering from the crisis of this kind of information insurrections. 99% of the people of social media don't even understand what they are used for. They thought they are having fun. They thought they are expressing themselves. Somebody will tell you that Nigeria is a failed state, and you now carry and come and post Nigeria as a failed state. Meanwhile, you are using your toothpick at your home. We're having a studio, going an interview, and somebody will tell you that Nigeria is a failed state. People are selling and buying, people are still operating. We are saying Nigeria is a failed state. Yes, we believe that Nigeria is suffering from security in all sections of the country, from the north, east, west, and south. We have problems. We have problems in terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, and co, and co, and co. This should make us to believe that we need everything we can to support the presidency and the government to deliver security that the country needs. And by doing so, even if you don't morally support, you don't act to support the government to succeed, you should have some moral support, part of which is do not propagate what is not properly authenticated. But unfortunately, some section of the media, aided and abetted by the social media platforms, are hell-bent on promoting terrorists. How can Nnamdi Kanu publish online that he's going to kill Fulani people, slaughter them wherever he met them, kill soldiers, Nigerian military men, slaughter the policemen, destroy the institutions, and they will leave that message online.
Did you report it? Did you get it? Because it's the same thing, and Mr. Ahilebo said now, people reported and action was taken.
No.
Did you report?
How many times was my account reported? The truth of the matter is that Twitter is not happy with the Nigerian government. And therefore, Twitter is doing everything possible to destroy Nigeria. Don't forget, I took Jack Dorsey to court. Yes. I took him to court simply because Jack Dorsey was one of the principal sponsors of the destruction in Nigeria. I dropped the case. Why? Because the same Twitter that is playing support roles to Nigerians to destroy their country is the same Twitter that is trying to protect his country even against their president. It means clear double standard. Destroy your own, but my own I will not let them destroy. Okay, so with that we are vindicated. That's why I say let's throw it. Let's
bring it. You know that court case you mentioned now. One of the those who are joining us on the program is someone who also wanted to deal with you or face you in court. Let me use that word. So Tokpe, yes, you as I said now, you wanted to take Adamu Garba, you know, in court over the issues he just mentioned now. But the question to you is, all right. I'm hearing Tokwe has probably left us. I guess it is because of the sound issues we had before. But let's take this back to Mr. Ilebo, who joined us recently. Do you want to make some reactions to the statements Mr. Garba has said? And the question to you evidently will be, how can we find the sweet spot? You know, when I say the sweet spot, I mean between regulation and freedom of expression.
You see, one thing Mr. Garba fails to understand is that if he has a problem with Nnamdi Kanu's comments, he has a duty, a civic responsibility to report those comments to Twitter, and Twitter will take action. Twitter did not take action until there was an outrage against the comments of the president where he mentioned and referenced the civil war. And this was just on a day immediately after the commemoration of the civil war. So we must be careful. We must be circumspect when we... I know Mr. Adamu wants to sell his app, which Nigerians do not even have faith in. He posted something about his app, and if you see the comments, and I asked him to read the comments on what he posted, nobody has confidence in you. They feel that you will share their personal data with the government. The government, when he said he was suing Jack Dorsey, and I was on the same AIT with him on Focus, I told him that it was a wasted effort and that perhaps he just wanted to get the limelight. He by himself withdrew the case because he had no locus. He should stop wasting people's time and just going on air and making comments. Is Adamu Garba wiser than the Swedish embassy or the Swedish government? Is he wiser than the UK government that have come out to say that it's a fundamental violation of the human rights of Nigerians to take away their freedom of speech, their freedom of expression? Is he forgetting that a lot of people right now do not even have the economy to survive this country, that his so-called paid masters that are sponsoring him to come and speak on your district have been collapsed? They have collapsed the entire economy. Nigerians are only trying to survive and make whatever they can from the little economies that they find themselves, especially the social media economy. Is Crow going to provide an alternate economy for them? I won't trust Crow. What is Crow? So
all right,
should just, instead of attacking the source of, he's actually speaking the mind of a few people. He should wear the outrage. He should wear the outrage against what he's saying, and see that he's a minority of less than 0.01% of Nigerians who think that the government does not know what it is doing.
All right,
He did not even think through the impact of his actions.
All right, Mr. Ilebo, hold on one moment. Let's also get other reactions. Mr. Garba, I know you have some reactions, but let's hold on. Let's hold on and take some others as well. Mr. Igoyota, thank you for being there. The question to you is, for those of you in the civil society, do you see this as a sign of things to come? Okay. We are hearing that we're probably having network challenges and some of our guests have tuned out. But let's turn the ball over now to Malachi Odo. And for you, is this a sign of things to come, really? I recall that Outrage has greeted similar moves before, moves such as, proposals to regulate the social media, fight fake news, and prevent hate speech. Do you think that, and the same question I asked Mr. Ilebo is, can we find a sweet spot between regulation and freedom of expression?
Yes. Okay, let me answer your first question. The first one. I think this is a sign, and the sign has been there of things to come. If Nigerians take this issue of Twitter lightly, I can assure you that this government will push on, and the worst will happen. Now, what would they do? The signs have been there. They have been clamping down on free press through the NBC. They have been complaining bitterly, for whatever, and I don't know why, bitterly about the social media. They want all of us to be mute. Now, they have now said, okay, for you to operate social media in Nigeria, you must come and register, blah, blah, blah. But what do you think they're doing? It is for them to be able to clamp down on whoever dissents or whoever criticizes the government in a manner they do not like. Now, they have come up with social media bill, which have been shut down severally, because we told them, and people have been saying this, and they know this. They have an attorney general. They have many senior advocates, and the Federal Executive Council, who should advise the president well on these issues. You have the Cybercrime Act. You have other laws there. And it was not, these laws were not even passed by this administration. These laws have been there. If anybody uses the internet, uses the social media platform, to spread fake news, to mislead or mislead the public and all that, there are laws there that will enable the government or security agencies to pick up the person and deal with the person according to law. These laws are there.
All right, I think we hear you on that, and so let me turn back, call it the hands of the clock. This same space we talk about, and we mentioned it has been a space where young people have been able to thrive in time past. And now the question to you will be, these people actually built these platforms to what it has become for them, And so how do you attract foreign direct investment, especially for a country that wants to grow, a country that wants to improve the economy? And recently, I read, of course, that the Immigration Service has come out to say, look, the rate at which Nigerian youths are dropping their citizenship, especially trying to flee abroad. And you saw the latest figures in terms of those who are applying for visas and the thousands that are still waiting to be collected. So you can see that there's a surge of people who want to move, as it were. Do you think, you also cast your mind back to when we killed Gokada, it's not as national policy, but you know where it happened, right? And do you think that when other business people from abroad see that by the stroke of magic or by the stroke of a hand, if you offend anybody and with one government decree, you can lose millions of dollars in investments? Do you think that this will be a veritable place for people to come in and put their funds to empower our young people, especially when this government is using Microsoft and other partners to try and create digital skills?
Yeah, it is actually unfortunate that some people are dropping their citizenship, trying to throw out one of the best countries on earth, Nigeria, to go to slavery. Because to the best of my knowledge, as much as immediately you leave these shores of this country, let it be that you are making $1 million a year, you are still going to be a third-class citizen in another man's country. Let us stop deceiving ourselves by what the media is saying about America, free country, black man, white man can be the same. It's a lie. The fact that Obama became the president means that you need to study Obama's background. Obama is their son, so you can't be their own son. You are a Nigerian, and this is where your pride belongs. And this is where your navel is buried. And this is where your root starts from. If you don't stay and fix the problem yourself by being civil and responsible for the making of the country, the fact that you jump to another country, you just go and suffer. We have so many of our friends that went there, with a high hope and high jamboree. Now they are just slaves. Their children cannot even go to the right school because of bullies and so many things. So I completely condemn that because I see it as a very, very wrong approach, regretful approach that tomorrow they will all come back and cry. So they should desist from that. And about the foreign direct investment coming into the country, nobody is saying that we don't have a fundamental issue in the economic arrangement of the country. Even the current government has admitted that. But that doesn't mean it starts with the current government. It is a pile of issues that have started since 1980s down to this moment, where we have different programs like SAP and co and co and co that piled up the current economic arrangement that we are all paying the price for. What we should have done as Nigerians is to roll our sleeves, like most of us are doing, and try to see what we can do to produce local value for local consumption. That's the only way we can even value the foreign direct investment. If I have somebody bringing an FDI to go and plug it in oil and gas industry, that guy is just, those investors are, sincerely to the best of my knowledge, are not really very, very interesting investors, because if you put money in the oil and gas, you are putting money in an international market. Oil is an international asset. The real talent are Nigerians. And what you should do is to invest in Nigerian businesses that are born in Nigeria for Nigerian success, so that you can hire Nigerian labor and continue to improve on Nigeria's productivity. That is the kind of investment we do. We have very few of them that are investing in real sector. Most of them want to go and invest in oil and gas, a very volatile asset that once I get cash, go. So this is not the kind of investment we need. So if we have investors that will come and invest in building local value, fine. If Twitter is coming to set up of Twitter Nigeria Limited employing some Nigerians, fine. If like some of the companies have been doing in Nigeria, like Microsoft, you rightly mentioned, they are doing that, which is very good. But unfortunately, we have people like like Tony, that struggled to be part of our team in the legal case. We didn't allow them, we withdrew the case, they are disappointed. And they are busy insulting us for that. Simply because they don't understand that they don't have a home better than Nigeria. They are referencing Swedish embassy, referencing foreign government. I don't know when we are going to get out from slavery mentality.
Let's just take a quick break so that we can, now when we come back, we'll close the program. All right, still Democracy Today. Stay with us as we take this very quick break.
Did you know that AIT's social media handles have all changed? If you are one of the millions of our followers on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, this is introducing to you AIT's new official and rebranded social media handles. Like or follow us now on our Facebook page, Official AIT Live. If you're on Twitter, switch to our new handle at Official AIT Live and activate the notification button to get breaking news and updates on the go. For exclusive short videos and photo news, follow our Instagram account at Official AIT Live. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Official AIT Live, and enjoy live streaming of news and your favorite programs, where you can also watch our broadcast materials at your own convenience. Note that Official AIT Live is the only authentic social media profile name with all the handles on our website ait.live, with a notification prompt to accept and receive breaking news and updates on the go. Log on to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube platforms on your smartphone, tablet device, laptop, and desktop to follow us now. AIT.live. On air, online.
All right, thank you for remaining with us. It's still Democracy Today, and we are in the closing sessions of our conversation now. We still have in the studio with me Adamu Garba, as a social media expert. Adamu, as we get set to leave the studio, give us your closing thoughts, your final answer or response to a lot of the outrage that has been put out there.
Yes, what I will advise is that I think it's high time for us to all rally around our government. We understand that there are a lot of issues in the country. And now that, to the best of my own knowledge, I think the government is doing everything possible to make sure that Nigerians are secure and then everything works well. And this is more than anything the government that have looked inward for the development of local capacity. I think everything we need to do possible. We shouldn't be seeing things from the window of mistrust. We should see that Nigeria is our country, and we do not have any other country other than Nigeria. And to the best of my knowledge, anybody that left Nigeria simply because he is angry with what is happening is trying to just justify the fact that he's trying to be a self-outcast. We shouldn't do that. This is our country, this is our own, this is where we are born, this is where we are building. We are supposed to stay together. And the fact that Twitter has left and people are angry doesn't mean that we don't have options. Like I said earlier, we have our own crow that we built, which I will even solicit AIT to open an account on Crow quickly, so that you guys can be one of the first media organization to be live on Crow. So I work with your digital media team if you want me to set them up. No problem. So this is what we need in this country. Let's build local capacity. Let's hire local labor. Let's build our local brand. Let's promote ourselves, and let's be great citizens of the world from the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
All right. Before we, before we get to that level of joining crew that you speak of, yes. But now we hear reports of some of the moves by the AGF to prosecute Nigerians who remain on Twitter despite the suspension. But the question to you, will this not further antagonize the people?
It's not going to, because it's like there is a law that said this is the direction. And now I believe that though we have so many unlawful elements on Twitter, but the significant majority of people on Twitter are law-abiding citizens. When your government says we don't trust this channel, the government is trying to protect you. Move to the channel that the government trusts. There are so many other social platforms. Like I mentioned, including our own Crow, is a social platform. So go to other social platforms and express your views. After all, we have been having traditional media organizations like AIT, like Channels and Co. that have been active. If you want to hear your views, go there and hear your views. We are here together with you. I'm in the studio. You are interviewing people on the street. They are participating in this conversation. It means also we have so many platforms to air our views. So we should not stay, we can't live. Twitter is not our window of survival. Twitter is not the air we breathe, it's not the water we drink, it's not the food we eat. So without Twitter, we should throw it out and try to build our local platforms so that we can also be controlling the information space and get ourselves ready in tune with 21st century modalities. That's what I believe.
All right, so do you believe now that essentially with this move, you will not be dampening the spirits of young Nigerians who have keyed into these platforms, who have used it to lift themselves up in the last few years?
No, I think, yes, of course, there are some pitfalls where some people must have faced some challenges with the restrictions of Twitter. But this should notify them that it is not your own. That's why you are facing this restriction. If it had been your own, you would never face this kind of restrictions. There are so many companies and organizations in Nigeria that have consistently been against the president, but because they are Nigerians, they are still in operation. So if you mistakenly try to trust a foreign platform, invest your own entire life, entire family, entire future in a foreign platform, one day they will shut you out. If Nigerian government did not ban them for their ineffectual responsibilities in Nigeria, they may decide to say they don't want to operate in Nigeria. Where will your source of livelihood be? So we need to be able to answer sincere questions about our own country and our own people and our own system and our own self, and begin to trust whatever it is that we build locally so that we can continue to grow a country that we will all be proud of.
All right, thank you very much, Adamu Garba. Let's also quickly take the final words from Tope Akinyode, who's a lawyer who's joined us. Hello, Tope.
Now, and I hope you can hear me clearly now.
Yes, we can hear you very, very much now. Thank you very
the position has remained that the Nigerian government has become an expert in the violation of citizens' rights. I mean, Adamu Garba, who is just speaking, had to file a lawsuit recently to challenge the use of Twitter in Nigeria. I opted to defend the lawsuit. Mr. Adamu Garba and his lawyers avoided the lawsuit. They avoided the absconded. They ran away actually. And it goes to tell you that there are people in Nigeria who are really not bothered about the commonwealth of the country, about citizens' rights, about how the people care. But they are just concerned about and ban it because he has an interest in Cowryverse or Cowry or whatever name he calls it. The truth of the matter is that the ban of Twitter in Nigeria today constitutes a major infringement on the fundamental rights of citizens to freely express themselves, as guaranteed by the Constitution and Chapter 4. Police. I mean, there's almost no agency of government or no top agency of security agency that will litigated against. And what we found out is that this government is just so joyful in violating the rights of citizens. If the government does not stop this abnormal position, it leads to the frustration of the citizens, and you won't be able to hold them back when they want to exercise their rights to really protest peacefully on the street, as many people are already saying they want to do.
All right, thank you, Tope. Let's turn it finally now to Mr. Igoyota. Mr. Igoyota, let's have your final take. We also know, I know that you disagree vehemently with some of the positions that Mr. Garba has raised. So address those in 1 minute and let's get your closing thoughts.
Garba was talking out of point when he said Buhari got a vote of 29 million people in 2019. That is a blatant lie. Buhari got 15 million votes. That isn't true. We had about 34 million Nigerians that participated in that election, with over 80-something million registered voters. So what is he talking about? When they're in government, they just feel as if Nigerians are daft. They just come to studios and talk anyhow. Now, talking about the Twitter suspension, President Buhari should sack his social media aides in the presence of Laurenta Onoche and Bashir Ahmed. What is he keeping them for? Say he said he's not a fan of social media. Then, as Nigerians, Garba Shehu is waging a war against the Nigerian people himself and the Minister of Communication, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. I'm very pretty optimistic, sure, yeah, as I talk to you now, that the president does not have a hand in what has happened to the Twitter suspension. It doesn't know anything. It is the handlers of the president that are overzealous and trying to show unnecessary psychophancy just to be in the good books of the president. Who made that tweet? Does President Buhari with all due respect to his person, is not a Twitter generation president. President Buhari doesn't tweet. It is his handlers that made that tweet. It is the same handlers that are instigating this rubbish that is happening. We must begin to call spades. Elebo and Garba, I'm very disappointed in the two of you guys. You guys are both of the PDP and the APC. You cannot speak truth to power. You remind me of Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves here. Why bringing me to a studio and be talking as if you are talking to DAP? When oil companies in this country are causing environmental degradation in the Niger Delta, with all the revenues they have put into this country, did the government of Nigeria ever ban them or suspend them? What is the hazard that Twitter poses to the Nigerian state? Tell me, what is the hazard?
All right, that's it.
What is the hazard?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Aguyota. That's a question that on this program we'll continue the conversation. Thank you. That's also a fine place. All right, 1 second.
End with this.
Go ahead.
Let me end with this. Let me tell you. The former US president, Thomas Jefferson, once said that when the people fear the government, it is called a government of tyranny. When the government fear the people, we call it liberty. Nigeria is a liberated state. It's not a captured state. Okay?
All right. Thank you
very much.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. The platform is open for everybody to share their thoughts, but we keep it very measured and respectful. All right, that's Democracy Today tonight. Thank you for being part of it yourself as the viewer. We have had the pleasure to speak with Tope Akinyode, a lawyer. We've also had Malaki Odo join us, a tech expert. We had Anthony Elebo, Adamu Garba, social media expert, as well as Lucky Guyuta, who you just heard is civil society activist. Thank you for being part of it. My name is Osai Tinyari. Democracy Today will return again at 10 p.m. on Sunday. Make a date with us.